once again the conference committee chairs, Drs. Tinajero and Dow, and their outstanding work in putting together this fabulous conference. And we ask the co-chairs and all the El Paso Conference Committee members to please stand and be recognized once again for their contributions to TABE 2010. Thank you. Our speaker this morning is Senator Elliot Shapleigh. Senator Shapleigh has represented El Paso for more than 10 years with passion and purpose. His district, District 29, encompasses most of El Paso. As a fifth-generation El Pasoan whose roots in the community trace back to 1847, Senator Shapleigh's strong connection to his district has inspired creative, community-based leadership since 1996. Senator Shapleigh was born and raised in El Paso. He has lived and traveled extensively in Mexico and is a fluent Spanish speaker. Senator Shapleigh graduated from Rice University in 1974 and served in the Peace Corps in Sierra Leone, West Africa until 1977. He then attended the University of Texas School of Law, graduating in 1981. In 1983, Senator Shapleigh founded his own law firm with two partners and today is a managing partner of the Shapleigh Law Firm. Senator Shapleigh is dedicated to increasing equity in state funding, ensuring fairness in state taxation, expanding educational opportunities for minority and low-income students, and developing community solutions for health, safety, and environmental issues. As an advocate for El Paso and other border communities, he is also interested in raising per capita income and boosting economic prosperity along the Texas border. In June 2009, Senator Shapleigh completed his 7th session as a legislator. During his tenure as a state senator, he has authored more than 600 bills with particular focus on education, economic development, infrastructure, technology, and veteran and healthcare issues. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the Honorable Elliot Shapleigh.
¿Cómo amanecieron? Pues bienvenidos aquí al Chuco. I want to welcome you to the greatest community in Texas. I know you're from San Antonio, some from Corpus Christi, but if I'm the senator from El Paso, you'd expect me to say that. I am so pleased and honored to be here in the TABE conference because, in my view, this is where transformation is occurring in America. It is on the front lines of educating the most important resource that we have ever had, and that is the minds of our children. When you look at these young men and women that have been on this stage, and you think about the beautiful diversity that you see, and you look at the amazing work being done because he or she can reach her full potential, that is what you are. You are the masters of bringing forward that full potential. And it is my humble honor to be with you here because I think that the work that you're doing is the work that America now needs most. What I want to do, con tu permiso, is I'm going to do this estilo Oprah Winfrey. Now, you don't see that too much here. But it's really the only way to communicate en la frontera. Cuando me preguntan en Chihuahua, ¿de dónde eres tú? Or in Albuquerque, where are you from? Soy orgullosamente de la frontera. I am from the frontier of the future. I live in that corridor in space between Albuquerque and Chihuahua that looks like nowhere else in Texas. But it looks exactly like Texas is going to be. I live in a space where you can be proud of your culture and heritage, and you can be proud of the way you can communicate across boundaries. When the Isleta district in the 80s, in a revolutionary move, wrote a mission mission statement that said every child, now think about that, shall graduate. It is our responsibility to move them through this very difficult transition. 6th grade, foundation of math. 9th grade, algebra, how did I get through it? The acculturation that comes with high school. Calculus, I don't even know how I'm going to get through that. It is our responsibility that that young mind, that potential of the future, gets to graduate and walk across that stage, no matter who she is, no matter who he is, or where they've come from. That is our duty, proudly. Shall graduate fully prepared to go to a 4-year university. If he or she chooses to go to a technical college or go to work or go in the military, that is a choice that people make on their own. But we will do our job so that in a knowledge-based economy, that young mind will have the opportunity to reach her full potential, and we will make sure that if she chooses to go to a 4-year university, she'll be on the front row. Fully prepared for 4-year college and biliterate. Those of you from Isleta know that I just mangled it a little bit, but I want to talk about biliterate. You are ready to work, ready to achieve, ready to get to your full potential in the 21st century across languages, in technology, in math, science, advocacy, and writing. Those are the skills you're going to have to compete, right? You know it, and I know it. So here's a district that writes this policy that really has transformed the way this community thinks about education. Others began to copy it. We have some of the greatest school districts in America right here. Two of the 5 were finalists for the Broad Prize. Sorry, San Antonio. Trey Martinez Fisher, if you're out there, that's El Paso. Why? Because we started this innovation way back in the 50s and 60s, and now we've built a capacity to move rapidly into the 21st century. That's what's going on here. And so who are the front lines? Who is making that happen? Who has the responsibility for assembling every morning that young potential of the future? I want each of you to stand up and take a bow. We're honoring you. You're the front lines of doing that. Please, let's do it right now. Stand up and take a bow, because you are our heroes and sheroes for making this happen. Now, here in Oprah Winfrey land, you can cheer, okay? So, let's see what we can do. I want to share with you what it's like in my world, the front lines of the legislature. Be careful, because it's not for sissies when you go over there. And always cover your back, because sometimes it's difficult when you get to Austin, Texas. But if you and I know what the future is going to look like, I am a senator because I am fully biliterate. I went to the Peace Corps. I'm literate in Caranco. You want to hear a little? Lived in Mexico. Spanish. Learned Spanish before English. Read, write, communicate, PowerPoint. That's a skill. Can go to Washington, D.C. and be in front of a committee. Can be in Mexico City and be in front of a committee and make the same case. That is the political leader of the future, right? So I'm a senator because I'm a fronterizo, and I'm proud of it. And I get reelected here over and over again because I can interpret what that future is going to be, and I can get in the middle of these issues and start talking about it to people that need to know, that need to make the change happen with the resources to follow that's going to make that change happen. We have a big job ahead of us because you are prophets of the future. You see it so clearly in your classroom. Those folks in Austin, by and large, have no idea. No idea. So I want to walk you through a few slides, and then I want to engage you on the solutions. Because this is not about sitting in our chairs. This is not about being spectators to change. This is not about letting that potential seep away because we didn't do the architecture above us that needs to happen so that we can be successful on the front lines. When you walk in and you've got materials in a kind of teaching approach that you know doesn't work, I'm sorry, you have a duty to change that. You have to go to the front lines above you to say, the data, the science, the evidence is this does not work. If you look up in your university and you're in Houston, Texas, and you know that you've got Hispanics in your classroom, 70, 80, 90%, right there in the first, second, and third grade, and the University of Houston, professor, this is your piece of the change, does not have the capacity to produce biliterate, and let's call it what it is, biliterate experts, wisdom leaders in the Houston area, then get on it. That's your job. You got to get it done. And if you're not producing enough to make it happen where this can happen, and Houston doesn't keep coming here to try and steal my teachers from Socorro and from Isleta with $10,000 bonuses to move out of the greatest town in Texas, I'm going to get angry. I want them here. We've got the greatest teachers in the country because we've been doing it for 30 years, right? How many people here from Isleta? Raise your hands. Orale, you guys are awesome. Socorro, raise your hands. Those of you from the Panhandle, raise your hands. You've got great work to do up there. Houston, Texas, raise your hands. Corpus Christi, let me see some hands from Corpus. San Antonio. That's a one-person wave right there. Dallas, Fort Worth. Woo! East Texas, let's hear it. I'm telling you, you walk into Beaumont. I got a lot of friends in Beaumont. You walk into the first grade. We're not in Oz anymore. We're not, you know what I mean? It's different when you walk in those classrooms and you know it, but your administrators probably have, sorry to say, no clue. So, let's walk through this stuff. I want you to grab, yes ma'am. The Valley! Yes! Arlington, McAllen. All right. You guys got great, great, great schools down there. And I wish you'd quit beating us in soccer. It's really making me mad. All right, so let's talk about this stuff. This is the facts. This is what you deal with. When you sit down in Austin and you look at where are we headed. Where we are headed is this chart. This chart is what starts every single meeting in Austin. When you look at the different ethnicities, and to me, that's getting to be a term that my kids don't even respect anymore, because when they look and say, okay, Dad, my boyfriend is Lebanese and half Mexican, and his grandma is from Jamaica, so tell me, what are you talking about here? I don't quite understand your term. I said, it's the census term, it's not mine. I'm just interested in that young child and her potential and making it work. But when you look, what you're really representing is the past going into the future. And when you look at your classrooms, it isn't 1950 Humble, Texas, or 1940 Harlingen, or 1960 El Paso High. It's a very different world. And when you look there, and you look at where we're headed, all the growth is in the Hispanic cohort, all of it. And so look at these lines and where they represent from 2000, 2010, 2020, 2030, 2045. Because every 10 years we draw a line and we count who's out there. And when you look at that and you look at what the population growth is happening, we have been a majority minority state since 2003. And we will be a majority Hispanic state in 2025. So, this is where the hearing starts. Next. So let's look at, that's the entire population. You've got 119-year-olds in there, and you've got 19-day-olds in there. Now let's take the population